good evening. We are so glad to have you back with us. We have an outstanding show for you this evening. We're going to be talking first about Valley Electric. And I have the CEO here this evening, and he's got so much information that we're going to share with you. I'm just so glad to have you here. Mark, welcome to the show.
It's always glad to spend time with you, Tom.
It's good to have him because I've had so many questions about Valley Electric, what they're doing, how they're doing it, and we need to have the person with all the answers, and that's the reason we're here tonight. So if you had any questions, I hope you sent them in. You sent them in to me or you sent them in to Valley Electric, and these are the answers that we're going to come up with tonight. So Mark, the first thing I'd like to say is, besides the fact that you're here to answer all of these questions, tell us something about you. The fact you've been here how long now, and what are some of the things that you've seen as far as Valley Electric growing, where it's going, how it's going? Give us some update on that first.
That's a great question, Tom. And what I would say is that I started here January 6th, 2020. It'll be 5 years come this January 6th.
Wow, okay.
And I had spent 30-some years in the co-op world and 10 years with British Petroleum Standard Oil of Ohio.
Okay.
Prior to that, and then 2 years with an investor-owned utility up in Michigan. And had managed 2 co-ops for roughly 18 years prior to coming here to Valley. I came to Valley mainly because I didn't feel ready to retire. I'll just be really...
You're too young for that anyway.
Well, I was 62
okay.
when I came to Valley, and roughly 5 years ago.
Okay.
And I'll be 67 October 10th. I got a birthday coming up, so it's always good to have a birthday.
Happy birthday.
When you stop having birthdays, you know something's gone wrong.
Something's wrong.
But so it's really been good. I've enjoyed being here.
Okay.
And what I have found is that a lot of people in Pahrump didn't start in Pahrump. They started somewhere else. And because of that, it's easy to make friends because people are new and they recognize they're new and they reach out. And it's just a friendly environment. And that's really made it fun. My wife and I have made friends here in Pahrump that are lifelong lasting friends.
Oh, that's beautiful, okay.
And so that's really been a blessing. I came to Pahrump in difficult times. I mean, it is what it is. And I've had other CEOs ask me, why did you go to the Valley? Why did you take that job? And I took the job because I felt that I could bring value.
Okay.
And I met with the board, I talked with the board, and I sensed from the board that they wanted things to be better and that their vision was the same as my vision.
Oh, that's even better.
And I took a tour with the employee, an employee-led tour, met employees, and I did that intentionally.
Okay.
Every co-op I've served as CEO, I always go on the tour. And I go on the tour because I want to read the employees. I want to understand where they're at and what their dreams are, what their concerns are, and I want to get a read that they're in tune with where I believe we needed to go.
Okay.
And I found that the board and the employees and myself and the vision I had for where to take Valley, I found that we were all in agreement. And when you have agreement with the board and the employees, you can accomplish good things. And so the first thing we wanted to do was to change the culture of Valley. Working under the prior long-term manager was difficult for the employees. It was not a good place to work. And people who were extremely talented left for a reason. The new CEO, who is going to start December 9th, worked at Valley from 2002 through 2009.
Oh, okay.
And he left because he didn't agree with the manager at the time. And his vision and my vision coalesce. They're the same. And so in terms of the culture and being and working at Valley, I wanted to build a team because a CEO can accomplish nothing without a team behind them. And the team has to agree with the goals and the vision and the direction, and they have to be inspired. They have to want to do it. So I believe it probably took us 2 years to build the team, if I take a stab at it, right?
Okay.
The next thing we wanted to do was we wanted to get the co-op on a good financial track. And quite frankly, the two, building a team and financial track, they were parallel. You had to do them at the same time. And the key to the financial, number one, was taking one budget that was managed by the CFO and the CEO and breaking that into 32 budgets and driving it through the organization so that every manager who had an employee working for them had a budget and had the responsibility for setting that budget and managing that budget so that costs came in online.
I was going to ask why 32, but that explains it.
Yeah, there's 32 managers that have people
Okay.
working for them.
Gotcha.
So if you had a manager working for you, you had a budget. Now I should amend that. It could also mean that they managed a process that is significant and takes resources and a budget.
Okay.
So either manage people or manage process. The key to the financial was getting good budget control in place and getting all the employees involved in managing costs. The second was we had to have a power cost adjuster. We achieved the power cost adjuster in 2023.
Okay.
And I think the biggest accomplishment, one of the biggest accomplishments, is that our costs have dropped. It's going to be 3.8 cents since May of 23 through November of 24.
Now that 3.8%, what does that do for the customer?
Well, it's 3.8 cents.
Cents.
The average customer uses 1,250 kilowatt hours.
Okay.
A lot of people use more, some people use less, but if we take all the kilowatt hours, divide it by 25,000 accounts, it comes out to about 1,250. And so for 1,250, 3.8 cents is going to be somewhere around $47, $48.
Okay.
Savings per month. And so the power cost adjuster does give those savings back to the member. If power costs come in under budget, then those savings go back to the member. And power costs have been very, very nice, agreeable in 23 and 24.
I like the fact that, I said customer and you said member. I like the fact that you're saying member because we are members of the co-op. So
I've worked at an investor-owned utility and I've worked at a co-op, and I spent 2 years with an investor-owned utility, and I have spent 34 years with the co-ops. And the co-op model is an amazing model. And the nice thing about a co-op model is when things go wrong, you can come in and you can change it and restore financial security, and you can restore an excellent culture at the co-op and a work environment and teamwork and accountability. We surveyed the employees and we asked them, we put a team together for a culture of excellence.
okay.
And we asked the team, what do we need to have a culture of excellence? And they came up with safety, accountability, communication, and teamwork.
Okay. Teamwork's important.
And so when the employees are telling you the same thing you want, and you're seeing the vision for it, you go.
That's the way to
And
do
you
it.
empower the employees. So getting the employees on board, financially getting everybody on board, or getting the co-op turned around. The last step is to try to get member acceptance, member satisfaction. And quite honestly, when you break that, it takes a long time for people to trust again.
I can imagine. Now, you said earlier about a new CEO coming in December. and you've mentioned him briefly. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that as we close this session?
Sure. The new CEO will start December 9th.
Okay.
His name is Robbie Hamlin, and he was at Valley from 2002 through 2009 as the manager of operations and in engineering.
Okay.
He left and went to CoServe, a large co-op in Texas, where he managed their engineering group. And he's now a manager of a municipal up in Lassen, California. And we're excited to have him here. He's team-oriented. He's a servant leader. He technically understands the business. He has 30-plus years experience in the business. And he's genuinely a good guy.
And you guys are going to have some overlap where you're going to be working with him until he actually takes over. Is that correct?
Yes. We're going to have 2 weeks,
Okay.
10 days. You never want to have the overlap be too long.
That's true. Or too short.
Or too short.
Yes.
2 weeks is good. I mean, he doesn't need me hanging around, right? But it's nice to communicate where we are, talk about the strategy, talk about what we're doing. We'll probably tour and go visit a bunch of employees. We have employee meetings during those 2 weeks where we'll both be together. But it's a good transition period where he can ask me questions. We'll take him through the budget. We'll take him through the strategy. We'll take him through all those significant areas.
Well, that sounds great. Now, as we end this session, now maybe the next time I have the CEO here, it might be him.
I would expect that you can probably work that and accomplish that.
Okay, so come back and join us for the next session because we have a lot more information for you. We're so glad to have you back with us. I have Mark Stallings. He's the CEO for Valley Electric. And, you know, I think everybody knows that we're having a lot of things, updates with fiber, and we're moving in the right direction. But we need to know where we are. So, Mark, can you tell us about where we are and what's going on in the fiber world?
Now, the fiber project is a massive project, $40 million.
Wow.
And it's basically updating the system that was put into place back in 2016, which was a wireless system that has a maximum capacity at each home of about 50 megabytes. But in the real world, you're going to get probably 35.
Okay.
You know, you're not going to get a full 50. So we knew that the existing system was not where we wanted to be. Plus, fiber had been promised from the get-go.
Yes.
And it wasn't built. We are actually, even though the 40 million sounds like a big, big number, and it is a big, big number,
Yes.
the reality is it's less money than was spent to put in the wireless system. And that fact will surprise people.
Wow. Okay.
And so, and I'll just say this, the fiber should have been put in from the get-go, and it should have been put in at roughly 40 million, but it wasn't. So we're doing it the right way now, but it takes time. We are 100% designed. We're 100% finished on making the poles ready for the fiber. In Fish Lake, Sandy Valley, Pahrump, Amargosa, 100% design, 100% make ready. All that's finished.
That's fantastic. Okay.
We are about 96, 97% of the fiber is in the air in Pahrump. We're still working on underground sections in Pahrump, which have been more difficult. Putting it on the pole line was the easy part of the project as opposed to putting it in the ground. And it's about half the cost.
Wow.
Put it on the poles, half the cost of going underground.
Okay.
The splicing, we are roughly 20% finished with splicing. We've actually done 1,200 splices. So even though you get the fiber in the air, you've got to connect it and splice it together. And so we're roughly 20% complete on the splicing. We've done roughly 500 drops meaning drop fiber into the home, either overhead, most often overhead. We have been working in 10 homes as pilot homes, test cases, to install the fiber and make it live in the home. And we've completed those 10 successfully. And we are now reconfiguring some of the fiber light assets in our substation back in Pahrump to get ready to start the installs. And so we are probably a month away from starting putting the fiber and activating it in homes. And we will start in the center part of Pahrump, right along 372. And hopefully in 3 to 4 weeks we'll be actually lighting up fiber in homes. And
now this is at no additional cost to the members, is that correct?
The cost is going to stay at the $54.95 price, which is what they're paying now for 50 megabyte, 35 in real world. They're going to get 100 instead of 50. Now the 100's probably not going to be 100. It's going to be something a little bit less than that. But it's going to be the same price with roughly twice the capacity and speed. So that's a good thing.
That's a good thing.
There's also possibility you can sign up for 1 gig service instead of 100 megabytes of service. 1 gig is an amazing amount of service. You can also sign up for 2 gigs. The 1 gig will be $79.95. 2 gigs will be $99.95.
I know people are listening to that and they're very interested in knowing exactly what they can use and how they can use it and what it's going to cost them.
I'm looking forward to it. And I'm anxious to get the fiber lit up in homes.
When do you expect, say, the drop dead date when it's all complete?
Now, that is a very, very good question. The struggle with giving timelines, we just finished 15 or 16 road crossings last week. And we had been working on the permits for those road crossings for months. We never dreamed it would take this long to get the permits, but it did. We still have, I think it's either 4 or 5 permits still outstanding.
So if you give any dates, it's not your fault when the dates are missed. But people will blame me anyway.
It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It's going to be our fault either way, right?
That's right.
So the best thing we can do is you just got to deal with the real world. I've never had a project in my career, and I'm coming up on 45 years since I started work out of college, and I've never had a project that didn't have a challenge. Something always, gremlins, call it Murphy, call it whatever, right? Something always pops up. And the key is to take those challenges and mitigate them and try to minimize them and try to resolve them as fast as you can.
There you go. Okay. But now we still have to talk about Valley Electric, because Valley Electric, you're the members. You're the members using it, and we have the CEO here. We don't want to let him get away without us asking other questions. You said something about USDA PACE. What is that?
USDA PACE is a grant award sponsored by the United States government, Department of Agriculture, USDA. And they had dollars available for co-ops, and it was under the PACE name. We applied for the grant. The project we submitted was 35 megawatts of storage in Pahrump and 1 megawatt of storage in Fish Lake Valley and 1 megawatt of solar in Fish Lake Valley. So there's no solar in Pahrump, it's all storage. And I was joking with Tom earlier before the show came on, you'd have to be crazy to say you're going to build solar in the town of Pahrump.
Absolutely.
Not going to fly real well. So storage is what we're putting in Pahrump. It's actually going to be on the north side at our Vista substation, and it's going to get power supply from the 15 megawatt solar that's already been built back in 2016, I believe.
Okay.
It'll take that power and it'll store it. And in the middle of the day, power supply prices are very low because there's an excess of supply due to solar production. So we're going to take that power, store it, and then we're going to release that power at the high price of the day so that we don't have to buy power supply, as much power supply from 6 to 9 o'clock when the market prices are high. And so there's a lot of savings in the project, and those savings will pass on to the members. And we've got the power cost adjuster in place, and that passes savings when our costs are less than budget. Those savings go right back to the member in a negative power cost adjuster. And so we're hoping to see that power cost adjuster return money to the members and save the members money in that way. It basically reduces the market risk so that we're not buying power in the market at the highest hours. Now, 72% of our power supply is locked in on contracts at a fixed price that was negotiated prior to 2019. And 2020 was when prices started going up. So a 2019 power supply contract is a very, very nice low-cost contract. So 72% of our power supply is locked at low prices. The other 28%, we've been in the market since August of 2020. And the market has been a little brutal at times. And so what this storage does is it allows us not to go to market as often. And we can avoid going to market in the highest priced hours. So it's a good deal.
This is great information. We definitely need this. Look, any information that we have not covered, if you have any questions, call Valley Electric. Say, look, I have some questions. I saw the CEO, but these questions weren't answered, and then you can ask those questions. Until then, we'll see you in the next show.
Through Valley Electric's Ambassador Program, Valley, along with its members, will strengthen engagement and provide a platform for education to build strong relationships among the membership, the board, and VEA staff. Ambassadors are Valley members who want to take a more active role in their cooperative and want to be well informed and educated on the operations of Valley as well as its future. To support the cooperative business model and the 7 cooperative principles that are the foundation of the Valley. The Ambassador Program has 3 subcommittees to achieve its goal of empowering members to be involved, informed, and give back. Each of the committees are chaired by a board member, staff liaison, and cooperative members from each of the 7 districts. How to become an ambassador? Call 775-727-5312, extension 2706, or email ambassador@vea.coop.
What does community mean to you? To us, it means powering the lives of the members we serve. But it's more than providing energy. In a community, neighbors look out for each other, and that's what we aim to do for you, because we're led by you, the members we serve, not by outside investors who are only looking to make a profit. This means we'll choose you and our community's best interest every time. For us, the power of community comes from the people who live here. That includes our employees and board members who live right here in our community. You'll see them at ball games, fall festival, and other local events. Whether we're investing in tomorrow's leaders through our youth programs and scholarships, helping you save energy at home, or volunteering to improve the lives of our neighbors, we're working hard to make this a better place to live and work. Valley Electric was created by the community for the community, and there's no place we would rather be. We love what we do because of members like you.
Celebrating Co-op Month. Proud to be built by our members, proud to be led by our members, proud to be shaped by our members.
Welcome back. We're so glad to have you back with us. This has just been a wonderful show. And now for the continuation of our show, we have Paula Elefante. Paula, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I think this is the first time I've been on with you.
Yes, it is. And we don't want to make this the last time either, because we've got some outstanding things we're going to be talking to you about. And I hope it's everything that you're going to be interested in. When we talk about powwow, most people are going to say, well, what's a powwow and what's it all about? And how is Paula involved with a powwow? So Paula, I have to ask the question. First, how long have you been in this area?
Well, I moved to Pahrump in 2000, so I've been here 24 years.
24 years. Yeah. And how long have you been coordinating the powwow?
This is my 21st.
21st year.
Yeah.
So 21 years of powwow. And I know there's still some people out there that are saying, what's a powwow? And what's going on? So tell us more. What is a powwow? Can you define it for us so that we who are not Native Americans will understand?
Actually, it's a spiritual gathering of indigenous peoples, and it's a time when families would have come together with friends, and they shared song and dance, food, and basically that's it. So as time went on, more and more people would go and watch the dancers and eat the fry bread and Indian tacos, eat the food, and enjoy the gathering. So it's a gathering.
Okay, now I wrote something down, and I'm going to read my notes because this is exactly what Paula just said. And it says, when we talk about the powwow, we create a cultural and educational experience for all peoples through indigenous music, dance, crafts, storytelling, and food. Now, she just put that all together to explain to you what the powwow is all about.
That's our mission statement.
That's the mission statement. Mm-hmm. That's what they do, and it's so enjoyable. Now, we're going to be telling you about when the powwow is, how you can become involved in it, and whether you live in Clark County or Nye County, it's open to everybody. And we want you to come out and really enjoy this, because we're talking about Native American history, and we want to know more about that. So I think it's very important that Paula is here today. And Paula, tell us more about the powwow, the significance, who's involved, and things like that.
Well, it's kind of interesting because he has a question here, how many tribes are involved? I can tell you that our master of ceremonies is Apache, San Carlos Apache. My arena director is Onondaga, and that's from the East Coast. My southern drum comes over from the Phoenix area. Most of them are Navajo. My color guard comes from the Peepash Reservation in Arizona. And so, I mean, it's an intertribal powwow. If you've seen our flyers, it'll say the 25th annual Pahrump Intertribal Powwow. So it's representatives, I don't want to use that word. It's people coming from many different tribes to be a part of our powwow, whether they're part of the music or they're dancers or they're vendors. My vendors come from 5 different states.
What kind of vendors are you talking about?
They're all indigenous.
What do they have?
Oh, okay. Well, we have everything from jewelry. We have one person that's a beautiful silversmith. We have pottery. There's one of the vendors has Christmas ornaments, which I really like that, and they all have a native design. We'll have someone that'll have dream catchers, and then we have another vendor that she makes medicinal lotions, creams, skin products, and they're made from herbs. We have the guy that has handmade products. They come from his tribe in Guatemala.
Okay.
From his family makes it. So we have a large variety. We used to have a gentleman that would come in. He lived on the border of Arizona and New Mexico, and he'd have kachina dolls. Unfortunately, I don't believe he's with us anymore, so we haven't had him in a while. But I can tell you this, if you come to the powwow last year or the year before and you bought something and you'd say, well, I bought it from a vendor that, and I will tell you, go back to where you bought it, because I try to put all of the vendors back in the same spaces they were in last year.
Okay.
Because they've built a following.
Yeah.
That
With that, now one of the things Paula mentioned, as she was saying, where some of the people are from, the dancers or whatever they were doing, where they're from, it didn't sound like they're all from Nevada. Did you notice that right away? They're from all over. So I need to ask the question, Paula, is there a certain limit of how far somebody can be and still join a powwow?
No.
Are there many different powwows?
There's powwows all over the world, because there's indigenous people all over the world.
Okay.
That have gatherings. And I mean, Hawaii has a couple powwows a year. The biggest powwow that there is in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it's called the Gathering of Nations, and you can look it up, and they have thousands of dancers. They have probably 50 or 60 drums that show up. The second biggest powwow is in March, and that's in Denver. They call it the Denver March,
Okay.
and it's huge. Our powwow is very small. Many powwows are contest powwows where the dancers and the drums will be competing for prize money. We don't do that because we don't have, the money to do that. Ours is a social, friendly powwow.
I like the fact that you said there are many powwows all over. Is there a schedule? So if somebody was interested in following one powwow or another, they can look at the schedule and say, look, I'm going to be in Denver, then I'm going to be in New York, then I'm going to be in New Orleans, then I'm going to be in Pahrump. You have that?
Yeah, there is.
Okay.
It's an amazing website. It's called Powwows. One word, powwow is one word, powwows.com.
I'm going to have to look that up right after this show, because I want to know more about it. And we're going to continue telling you exactly what's going on in the powwows.
It's a great resource. It's a great educational resource, because they'll talk about, on that website, you can, what kind of dance styles, and it'll talk about the different dance styles, or the regalia. Natives don't wear costumes. They wear regalia. And regalia is handmade usually by the dancer.
Okay.
Or their families. If it's children, mom makes it. It signifies or represents their style of dance. Mm-hmm. Okay, like you'll see a girl out there, and she's got like all these, looks like these little bells that are hanging off her, and that's a jingle dress. Okay, and so the different styles of regalia pertains to the different styles of dance.
Okay.
And you can learn that at powwows.com.
All right. Now I know quite a few of you are going to be looking at powwows.com and see exactly what's going on and exactly what Paul is talking about. But I think that makes it more interesting, because this is a history lesson for all of us. And I know there are many right now in Clark County and Nye County that are watching this show, and you're going to be able to participate in exactly what Paul is talking about. This becomes something that we're all interested in learning more about. And so when you hear the word powwow, it's exactly as Paula said. It's peoples coming together. And I think it's just wonderful. I think it's wonderful that she does this every year. And this makes it so important, because we look at that and we find that it's just fantastic.
Thank you.
So, when we talk about some of the pictures that you have, the pictures of the powwows. Now, I know we're going to be talking about that in our next session, and we'll be covering quite a bit of that. So, but what in this session, in the time we have left, what is it you want to talk about?
Can I talk about this? Part of what makes the powwow happen is we don't have a federally recognized tribe here. We don't have a reservation here. We don't have an Indian casino here. We don't have an Indian smoke shop here. So we don't have the resource, the monetary resource that we need to be able to do this. So I start probably early in the year. I tell people, I'm out begging. I'm trying to get sponsors for the powwow, donations, monetary donations for the powwow to be able to make it happen. So we have a couple fundraisers during the year, and I guess I'll talk about that in the next 15 minutes.
Go right ahead.
Or I can start right now.
Yeah.
We have printers at home, and you use ink for your printers. And we can recycle these for anywhere from 5 cents to $2 that we can get for these used printer cartridges. We have a box at the library where you can take and just drop them in there. And we greatly appreciate it because it takes 1,000 years for this piece of plastic to break down. 1,000 years sitting in our landfill that's not biodegradable. So we recycle that, and that's just one of several of our fundraisers. And it's a benefit to the community, and we've recycled about 21,000 pieces of plastic since we started doing it.
Okay. Now, we are going to go ahead and finish that and talk more about the recycling and the ink cartridges, because this is the Pahrump library that she's talking about. You can go there and you can drop those off for her all the time. And we're going to talk about that more in our next session, of course. But there's just so much more about powwow that I want you to know. So come back and join us. Welcome back. We're so glad to have you back with us for this final session where we're talking about the Pahrump powwow. And it's so important that you understand exactly what it is. We were talking, as we ended the last session, we're talking about the fundraiser that Paula has to go through to raise funds just to keep this going. And Paula, tell us some more about the ink cartridges and exactly what we can do to help.
Well, this is one of mine, and people go, oh, okay, I don't know if you can see that. I'll put it against his shirt, it'll stand out. Anyway, when we're such a throwaway society. I guess that's a good description. We don't need it anymore. Off it goes in the trash.
Yep.
And without thinking that, this plastic that's made of, I think it's like a gallon of oil to make these plastic things. And it takes 1,000 years for that to break down in the landfill. And I have visions, in cities, they build tracts of homes on top of old landfills. And then they have a problem with toxics coming up through the ground. So there's a company I deal with that I can send these to. And like I said, I get anywhere from 5 cents to $2 per cartridge. They remanufacture these. They don't ship it to China to get it remanufactured. The company I deal with is in Chatsworth, California. They remanufacture them, so it has a second life.
Oh, great.
Okay. And the ones that I've collected that have been remanufactured, I send them back to them still. So I like that idea. I like that idea a lot. I have great-grandchildren. I don't want them having to deal with our waste.
So everybody that uses a printer of any kind that uses ink cartridges, instead of throwing the ink cartridges away when they're no longer any good, let's get them to the Pahrump library or find some way of getting them to Paula. Paula, if for some reason they don't go to the library, how can they get in touch with you? PahrumpPowwow@yahoo.com. I'd like to say that I collect toners. Offices have these big toners, because the big commercial machines. I collect the toners from the courthouse, from the assessor's office, from Nye Communities Coalition. The school district is starting to come on board, so I get their toners. And I have to tell you, not everything can I ship
for money. Most of the toners I can't, but I'll ship them back to the manufacturer to keep them out of the landfill. And those that I can't, I take over to Office Depot because they have a recycling program. I don't get money for them, but it stays out of the landfill, and to me that's very important.
Yes. Okay. So now we know how we can help Paula help the powwow.
Yeah, everybody gets to contribute, and it didn't cost them anything.
There you go. Keeping it out of landfill, I think, is critical and crucial. So, but there's so much more to being in part of the powwow. Now, Paula mentioned something, and I want to emphasize this. She mentioned that during World War II, without the Native Americans, we would have lost the war. Okay, just think about that. The code talkers. Mm-hmm. Tell us more about that.
The military went to the Navajo Nation. They chose 26 natives, men, to write a code. And then once the code was written and accepted and approved, then they recruited natives from many different tribes to come learn the code that had, that were in the army, I guess, or they were in the service. And so they learned the code, and then, of course, they were sent off to World War II. So, and it's because the Japanese couldn't break the code. And I know we had, for 2 years in a row, we had a gentleman at our powwow. His name was Joe Morris, and he was a code talker. And he was explaining, because he was a Marine, in our local Marine Corps League, they turned out, they really appreciated that Joe was there. And Joe said, I kind of had to laugh, he talked about the bird, the bird, they talk about in code, the bird, which was airplanes, or the whale, that was submarines, And so this is how they created the code.
Okay. And
how from one to the other, they were able to interpret this and tell their commanders or whatever. And it was, I'm told, it was due to the code. That's how we won the war, because the Japanese couldn't break it down.
Something else, and you learn all this by just being and participating with the powwow. But when are we having the powwow? What are the dates for that?
Oh, it's easy. It's very easy to remember. We're always the weekend before Thanksgiving. So it doesn't matter what the days are. We are the weekend before Thanksgiving. This year, it's November 22nd to 24th. Friday the 22nd, we don't have the drums and dancers there that day. But it's a great day to start holiday shopping. And have some fry bread and an Indian taco and,
And the vendors will be there.
Oh, they will be there. They start setting up on Thursday.
Okay. Now, if any of you, and I know right now we're talking to those people in Nye County and Clark County, those of you who have never been to a powwow that would like to attend, feel free to come out, enjoy, and just learn more about what's going on in our Native American areas. Now, one of the things that I've noticed when I've gone to the powwow is how they show the respect for the veterans, military veterans. So Paula, would you tell us something about what you do, what you've done in the past, and how you recognize these veterans?
Okay, the powwow starts off with gourd dancing, and the gourd dancers, the only ones in the circle. They are military, they're Native American veterans. Okay, they've all served. We don't have any left from World War II, but we have several Vietnam vets, Afghanistan vets, and they prepare the circle for the powwow. Okay, then grand entry, all of our dancers line up. We have the color guard, and our color guard are all veterans. As I said, they come from Arizona. And we've had in the past where our veterans that are in the audience will line up, and they do end up coming in. We've done that a couple times. We had Native American Medals of Valor several years ago. We can't get those anymore. About 2-3 years ago.
It's a beautiful medal. I got one,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate it.
2 or 3 years ago, we did certificates of appreciation for the local veterans.
I
And,
have my certificate as well.
and we always, if we don't have them in the circle, we always have veterans stand up, and they are acknowledged at the beginning, before the dancing and all the festivities begin. We're honored. The Daughters of the American Revolution usually has the county prepare a proclamation, and it's presented to us, and that's kind of neat. But I want to talk, can I go off now?
Yes.
Okay. I want to share with you that our MC, Michael Rifle, has been coming here for 14 years. He's been our MC.
Okay.
He lives near the Bay Area. So he gets on his motorcycle or in his car, depending on the weather, and he makes a long trek down here to be a part of this powwow. He likes to be a part of our powwow. The arena director used to be just one of our vendors, and he's been coming for about 16 years. Our Aztec dancers come over from LA, and they have been coming over here for probably 20 years, 19 years.
Okay.
So their kids have grown up in our powwow, which I think is really kind of cool. So, and we have 2 teepees. If you weren't at the powwow last year, I got to tell you this. We have the big teepee, which all of you are familiar with, and we've kind of turned that into a storytelling and activity teepee for children.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have the little teepee we got 3 years ago. And what we've done is we have a cowhide down, we have the buffalo skull, we have a drum, we have the rain rattle, we have a headdress, and we put a yellow tape across the entry because it's smaller. We don't want people crawling around in there touching things, so I say it's the show and tell teepee.
Okay. Now you have a lot of pictures. Tell us about some of the pictures.
I don't know if he can show them, but
That's okay. If you talk about them, he'll make sure they're up.
if you haven't gone to the market and got your Pahrump Life magazine, we're honored to be on the cover. Our teepee's on the cover, and then we have a great article that kind of explains a lot of this stuff. In this, there's a picture in here of Joe and Charlotte Morris. As I said, Joe, he was a World War II Navajo code talker. A great guy, a fun guy, and all the veterans that came out and met him and talked to him, they really just appreciated. Joe liked to talk, and oftentimes we'd have to pull him away from the microphone.
Okay.
We have a picture in here of Adolfo. He's in charge of the Aztec dancers. He's the dad, and it's his family, and then friends of his family that have started with his group, the Azteca something.
Okay. Close enough.
Close enough. So there's a beautiful picture in here of him, and then there's one from behind where you see all the feathers. It's just really kind of neat. There's a picture in here of a lady, Debbie. She's a northern traditional dancer from the Montauk tribe, and she's I think from Rhode Island, I think is where she's from. And then Robert Silent Thunder, he is from LA, and he's been out here a few times. So we get dancers that come from many different areas, and the best dancers we have are those little tiny tots that are dancing next to Mom.
This has just been fantastic, very educational, and I just want to remind you again, the Pahrump Powwow is November 22nd through the 24th. It's at Petrick Park, and so come on out and truly enjoy this. This is something that the Native Americans have put together for all of us, including themselves. This is an annual powwow, people coming from all over the country to let us know exactly what's going on in the Native American community. So come out and join us, have fun, and don't forget to come back and join us next month for our next show. Thank you.